guys, it's Remi here, and welcome to another week of Dreamy Sparklets with me. Um, so my upload day is still on Tuesday, but I've had a really busy and rough week, so I'm uploading very late today. Um, First off, I had a storm come in into Florida, and so I lost my power, and then my internet was gone the day after the power was restored. So I decided to come over to my dad's house and hopefully do the recording, but then I had been busy with other stuff, especially art. So here I am today. Today I'll be talking about my mental health, and let's get started. So since this week is Mental Health Week for our channel, I'll start off by saying that I am a mentally ill individual. I have been diagnosed with social anxiety, panic disorder, agoraphobia, and bipolar disorder. And for my bipolar, I have been told recently at the hospital that it may be rapid cycling bipolar, but I honestly don't know too much about that diagnosis, so I don't really go into it. My anxiety, I would say, started at a very young age, but my parents and I wasn't even aware of it. I used to have issues at a very young age, fear of getting sick. Like most kids, when they get sick, they want to go play outside and stuff. I would go into a panic, almost anal about being given medication, having my temperature taken. And I had this obsession with trying to bathe myself to get rid of the germs that were inside of me. By elementary school, anytime my parents, well, this was fourth grade to be exact, anytime my parents were taking me to school for the first half of the year, I would get these really bad panic attacks now that I look back on it. My dad was out of the country, so my grandparents were over helping my mom watch over us. And, they would drive me down the road to the school, and as soon as the school was in view, I felt like I was going to throw up. I would start dry heaving. I would get dizzy. I would kind of hyperventilate, and I told my grandparents, I want to go home. I want to go home. And my mom thought, maybe I'm being bullied or something. And so she talked to the principal, and they convinced me, to start actually staying at school and helping me get by through the day. And then it just stopped. By sixth grade, which is when I was transitioning from elementary to middle school, I started having these attacks again. Very similar. I'd be on the school bus. As soon as I got to the school, I would get off the bus and start dry heaving. And it wouldn't pass. I'd go into class and I just felt sick to my stomach. So for maybe 2 or 3 months, every day in the morning at school, I would either go to the counselor's office or to the main office and sit in there with my dad, who I had to call from work to come calm me down. And eventually it just stopped. That's how it was. It just kind of stopped. Ninth grade, I started having physical health issues, and I was getting ready for my move from Michigan to Florida. And so I was missing a lot of school, and I was having some attacks, but they weren't that bad. I'd say my worst attacks happened in 2009. I'm not sure what happened that year, aside from my physical health deteriorating, and my parents were going through a divorce, so that might contribute to it, but it got really bad. I'd pace around the house with my hand over my mouth, saying, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, over and over again. I couldn't sit down. I had to have the fans at full blast in the house, or I would start throwing up. I could not leave the house. The minute I walked out that front door, or say I got into the car, I would go into full panic attack mode, and I just stopped leaving the house for almost an entire year. Then I think symptoms of my bipolar started to show up. I did have symptoms of depression before that, but I started getting really irritable with people. And I remember there were a couple times that I had this intense feeling of anger, and it felt like my whole body was shaking. It was hot, and I felt like I wanted to hurt someone. And I would run off to my room terrified because I just didn't know what to do about it. And I also started getting these thoughts of hurting people, which terrified me, and it made me stop watching crime shows for a long time because I would have these gruesome mental images. And then I'd say around 2011, 2012 is when I started having hallucinations and the intrusive thoughts became worse. And my mom was still very supportive of me. My dad, not so much. But I was going to therapy and seeing a psychiatrist, and I was being medicated. And that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar. And since 2011, I have been sent to either a crisis center or a hospital 3 times. One of those times was by my choice. That was actually the one in March this year. I had gone there myself and told them I wanted to be admitted, since my first 2 admissions, they weren't so bad, so I didn't feel too scared about doing it myself. And I found it to be really helpful. These days, I have been prescribed 4 bottles of medication, Klonopin, which I very rarely take, Celexa, Zyprexa, and lithium. And that's about it. Thanks for listening, guys. If you have any questions or anything like that, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Bye.